Brunch with a Black Man. Treble, take one.
Over the course of a few years, life yielded a crisis of pandemics, resulting in many reeling and searching for answers. Black men especially have had to grieve the passing of hip-hop icons DMX, Michael K. Williams, Biz Markie, and many others, who not only just provided a soundscape to our childhood, but were heroes to many. How has this impacted Black men? How has this altered the way they see themselves, their ability to express themselves, and their mental health? We sit down with Black men raised on the culture of hip-hop and ask them directly. Let's have a bite, take a step back in order to move forward. I'm your host, Miracle Jones, and this is Brunch with the Black Man. It looks amazing.
Yeah, I can't wait, man.
Oh, wow.
Hey.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for joining me. How are you doing today?
Man, I'm chilling. You know what I'm saying? I woke up, took a hit of the bong. I'm feeling wavy right now.
It's good. Like summertime is coming, so it's a good day to just be out. So thank you for coming and joining us. You go ahead and dig in if you would like. So can you just talk a little bit about, what you do, the work that you do, and like what causes you and inspires you to do your work?
Yes. So, my name is Treble NLS because music is my heart and soul. You know what I'm saying? I try to make music from a very emotionally honest place because I realize when I talk to my homies that, not a lot of us have, emotional intelligence, and not a lot of us have the words to describe how we're feeling in any given moment. So when I find those words, I try to put them in the music, you know what I'm saying? I do a lot of things, man. So I'm a rapper, performer, a teaching artist, you feel me? I like to teach. I've been teaching since I was like 15 years old. I started acting last year, you know what I'm saying? I be writing poems or whatnot, playing instruments, writing songs, producing songs, you feel me? Just whatever calls my heart.
That's pretty dope. And
Yeah.
so has like hip hop and music always been a part of your life? Were you growing up listening to music, or how did you find that?
So my mom loves to tell this story, but my first kind of like entry into music, I was real young. I think I was just starting to learn how to talk and whatnot. And we were in, I forget whose car. I was like, I think I had to be like 2 or below, and Master P was on the radio. And she said she can vividly remember me in the back seat just like, bout it. And I'm just like feeling it, you know what I'm saying? And I kind of like music has always been that thing that like takes me to a world that's like different from this world, but helps me make sense of it in a way, you know what I'm saying? So it's like one of those things that always, ignited something in me and started this pulse that kind of runs everything that I do. And I like to tell people I was classically trained in hip hop when I was part of the crunk movement. They made sure that we knew the 5 elements of hip hop. They made sure that we knew the art of being an MC. They wouldn't even let me touch a mic if I didn't have my verses memorized. They taught us the do's and the don'ts for performing art and stuff like that. So now like I have this mindset of like it's against the law to perform to a recorded track. Cause it's like, bro, if you wanted to do karaoke, you should have just went to a bar or something. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, come on.
Yeah. But yeah, hip hop has always been, kind of like at the forefront of my entire existence. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, thank you for that. So can you just talk a little bit, what was it like growing up? Because music, your mom is introducing to you to all, Master P and different things. But what was it like for you to grow up with like this hip hop as the backdrop of your life?
Challenging. It was fun. One thing I realized is like hip hop is more than just the music. hip hop is the music that we bring real life to. You know what I'm saying? And it's one of those things like you kind of have to live life in order to really bring something authentic to the music. Growing up in Homewood and how it changed and shaped who I am as a person, because I seen some things I probably shouldn't have seen, you know what I'm saying? And lived a life that like not a lot of kids my age thought of as normal, but to me it was normal, you know what I'm saying? And when I first realized that it wasn't normal, I was like, oh shit. Alright, so kids like me kind of need a voice, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, so like growing up, I've always had this like mindset of like, okay, I'm not stuck in right now. There's a future ahead of me. I didn't always know what that looked like, but I would try to make decisions in the now that would set me up with a comfortable future, or as comfortable as I can make it, and a better future than the present that I'm seeing in the moment, you know what I'm saying? So I've always been like super reflective. I plan like 10 steps ahead, you know what I'm saying? But it doesn't always work out, you know, but when it doesn't work out, there's a lot of lessons that come out of it. So growing up also gave me a lot of wisdom. You know what I'm saying? I'm only 25, but some people think I'm like 30.
That's good. You're talking about growing up in Homewood. You came up at a time what people call like the tail end of the guns, drugs,
In the Crip era.
You know, the Crip crack era. And so there's a lot of violence, there's a lot of things happening. How were you able to navigate those things? You said you saw some things you probably shouldn't have. But how were you able to, like, to navigate all of that?
I didn't know I was living in the struggle until my homie was like, man, I'm tired of living in the struggle. And he was like, I was like, what's the struggle, bro? Like, let me in on your situation. And he started describing his situation. And I'm like, oh, fuck, that's so familiar. You know what I'm saying? And that's when, you know, I was like, well, I've been able to kind of keep a positive attitude up until now. I'm not gonna let this realization that my life is a struggle kind of ruin that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, I tried my very best to keep that smile on my face and kind of like, you know, not take life too seriously. You know what I'm saying? It's like I was seeing some crazy shit, but it's just like, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like people die every day. I probably shouldn't have seen it so young, but I'm thankful that I did, because now my relationship with death is a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? I won't say it's normalized, but it's much easier to accept because of how much I've seen it growing up. You know what I'm saying?
So you talked about how young you were. Do you mind sharing your age, the first time you encountered and saw someone?
I think I was in elementary school, so I was like 9 or 10. And I remember up the street, me and my homies were just chilling on my homie Mark's porch, may he rest in peace. And we're looking up the street, we see a couple shots go off. And then we see this dude run, dish the gun, and then like hop in his car and skirt off. But like we didn't think, you know, as kids, we weren't thinking, oh shit, someone died. We were thinking, oh shit, there's a gun in the bush. We should go get that. You know what I'm saying? Because like at that point, like, even though we weren't seeing it that much, like it was so normal to like, we're seeing it as like, oh, this is what we know happens here. You know what I'm saying? And like, we just saw it as an opportunity. It's like, yo, now there's a free gun, go grab it. But we, you know, of course that didn't work out, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I was around like 9 or 10, I forget which age exactly, but I just, you know, it didn't really dawn on me that I had just witnessed someone die until like I moved to Mount Washington when I was in middle school. And I remember, you know, it was like we had just come up off the summer, and the teacher asked like, so how was everyone's summer? I'm like, yo, mine was cool. I saw someone get shot. We tried to get the gun, but you know, they took it. And everyone's looking at me like, what? You saw someone die? I'm like, yeah, bro, did you not? Like, do you not see this every day? They're like, no, bro, like, that's wild. And I'm like, oh shit, okay, maybe that isn't normal, or maybe that wasn't supposed to be normal, you know what I'm saying?
So then how do you process understanding what your everyday experience is now like this rare thing that most people in their lives don't experience, and you really should not be experiencing it at that age.
How do I process this? And this is a good question. I really gotta think about this. And I'm gonna also take some time to chew too.
Yeah, it's fun because, you know, we always talk about when things are happening, sometimes you don't understand that it's negative or it shouldn't happen until you're really comparing your life to someone else. And you're here like show and tell, like, oh my God, yo, I just grabbed this gun. And your teachers are like, you're not 18 yet. And the other people are like, were you playing a video game? And you're like, no, this is real life. Like, this is down the street. So like, how are you then feeling as you're like understanding that something you were excited to share is appalling almost to like other folks?
I'm not gonna lie, I felt cool. You know what I'm saying? I felt like, oh, I'm different. I'm out here living a life y'all ain't see for real. You know what I'm saying? Then it kind of became like my entry into talking about the taboo. Because like to me it wasn't taboo. To me it was life, you know what I'm saying? To me it was reality. So it's like when I talk about it, it's like it might make the person I'm talking to a little bit uncomfortable, but it's like, you know, this is a reality that we live with, you know what I'm saying? And it kind of like gave me more purpose in the activism work that I do, because it's like, yo, while you're living this comfortable life where you don't see people die, there's kids like me who are growing up in an environment where we're seeing that way more often than we need to, you know what I'm saying? And how I process it is just kind of like, I try to see the wisdom in everything. And sometimes I feel like I jump to the wisdom part a little bit too fast, but I try to see like how I can use this, what useful information I can pull from it, and how I can use that to inform decisions I make, actions I take, things that I think, and like words that I say. And it wasn't always such a drawn out process for me. Like back then it was kind of like, you know, my relationship with death back then was a little bit different than it is now, because, you know, I went through my whole mental health journey. I would like to say that I'm healed for the most part, still healing though. You know, death was hard to deal with, you know what I'm saying? Because like, I still hadn't, you know, gotten past the idea of seeing it as loss, you know what I'm saying? And like really internalizing that loss, and kind of like, you know, I had to shift my relationship with death in order to like handle it a little bit better. I used to hate going to funerals. Now I'm like, you know, these people at this funeral, they need support, you know what I'm saying? And also I would like to go and offer my goodbyes, but it used to be a thing where it's like, I'm not trying to go around all these sad ass people, because I'm not really trying to feel my own sadness, you know what I'm saying? I would kind of like avoid it to a sense. And like I said, I used to jump to the wisdom a little bit too fast. So like, sometimes I didn't process the fact that I was grieving until, you know, a similar thought would enter my mind when I'm alone, and I would just start breaking down into tears, you know what I'm saying?
You're talking about stepping toward acceptance. Is that where this whole notion of like rejecting negativity, rejecting violence, rejecting racism came from? Where you're watching a lot of people try to deal with the realities, as you said, the world, and they're trying to find a way to cope. And here you are saying, I have this strategy, I have this thing that has worked for me and my friends, and I'm going to tell you just to reject it all and like focus on like what you can do. Is that kind of how like your reject brand, as you move to your next level self, came from?
So, interestingly enough, Reject was really supposed to just be an album about how I was rejected by a girl. And like, I wanted to show people that like us rappers, we are also human beings, and we don't always get the girls that we're interested in. I want to, you know, drop some clothing for the project, but I didn't want it to be about like, yeah, I was rejected by a girl, but now I wear it on my chest. It's like, how can I come up with a concept that's deeper than being rejected? You know what I'm saying? And that's when I realized, like, wait, we could use rejection as a tool, you know, and reject those things that don't bring us joy, reject those things that kind of compromise our peace, and realize that, like, yes, we've been rejected as people, but like we could also, like, I see it as like setting boundaries, you know what I'm saying? Which is why I put the reject in a box, because it's like you want to set a boundary that protects yourself and your peace, you know what I'm saying? And the thing about reject is knowing when to, you know, set that boundary, when to reject, what to reject. And that's why I kind of try to theme it around certain concepts like reject fear, reject guilt. And because these are also things that block your energy from flowing, you know what I'm saying, which is another concept I picked up in the hospital that, like, you know, I was privy to before then, but it didn't really hit as deep until I was there. Because I remember when I was a younger, when Avatar: The Last Airbender came out, that episode where he was clearing his chakras was so deep, but I didn't realize how deep it was until I was an adult looking back on it. Like, whoa, they sat us down and was teaching us about energy and how it flows and how to release what blocks your energy from flowing. I'm like, and then I realized, like, this isn't a concept exclusive to the Avatar. Like, this is a concept that is important for each one of us to tap into our true potential.
That's really cool. I think that's kind of dope about like media. It gives you like these stepping stones and these little tools, of the blueprint, if you will, to navigate. And is that kind of how you decided to use your music as a way to navigate not only your mental health, but to help others? Because you talked about, you know, wanting to create the songs so that people process, you know, rejecting of a loved one, but you've always been on this next level self, higher self, looking in. So like, how are you using music, and what artists, you know, do you try to mirror your music at for that too?
So music, there's a point in time when I realized that rapping was kind of therapeutic. I was able to put into words things that I was feeling but couldn't really say in a normal conversation, you know what I'm saying? And like, it helped me to process a lot of things by like either writing it down in a rap or just kind of constructing it into poetry.
Trying to rap about her presence like the paper on the gift, just to figure out I wouldn't get a thing that's on my list. That's rejection.
Finding a way to take what I'm feeling and compare it to something that's like, you know, a concept that other people are familiar with and can help them to understand what I'm going through. And to also put it into perspective for myself, like, yo, this is what I'm going through, this is what it feels like, and this is how I can express it.
Yeah. Oh, you have to. I said, pop goes the man. Pop goes is not nose trying to be a man. Pop goes the man. Pop goes the man. Pop goes is not nose trying to be a man. Gang, gang, gang in this bitch. I done seen a hustler get rich. 10 years old, seen a nigga get stained and get dished. You can lose your pole and catch fish. Class is dismissed. Gang, gang, gang on this bus.
I mirror a lot of my work after artists like Frank Ocean and Kendrick Lamar, also SZA. One thing I've noticed is like Scorpio and Gemini artists, they really know how to bring emotion through in a way that's like artistic, but also like gives you a completely different perspective on how you're feeling. And I really liked how Kendrick has always been like super emotionally honest in his music, and like he's telling you what he's been through and kind of giving a voice to a feeling that we probably felt as well. And I liked how Frank Ocean would kind of paint a very vivid picture with his lyrics, sometimes so vivid that you didn't really need a music video to accompany it. You would just listen to the words, and now you have an entire scene in your mind created by someone who's just being open and honest about how they feel, but painting it in a way to where like your words are now like, you know, pictures. And SZA, man, SZA has my heart.
Yeah.
Yes, because like she's also another one of those artists who can like take what she's going through and paint such a vivid picture, but also make you vibe to what she's going through as a person. You know what I'm saying? But like, I started to, when I was like really thinking about how I wanted to portray myself as a professional artist, I was like, you know, thinking about the impact I want my music to have. And I'm like, well, it helps me emotionally, so how can I make my impact something that helps the listener emotionally? Talk about it with a professional though, because like I don't get paid enough for that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, speaking of professionals, you have been very open and candid about going to therapy, seeking therapy. What are some of the things that you have learned from therapy that's been able to help you not only just navigate your life, but feel more comfortable in normalizing these conversations about like mental health, so that you can put it not only in your music, but your poems and even in your speaking engagement?
One, I learned that anger management doesn't work, but therapy does. You know what I'm saying? I also learned how to ground myself and how important it is to do that, because I never really considered the fact that like when I'm going, because I used to have like panic attacks and stuff like that and start hyperventilating, and like my thoughts would race a mile per minute. And I remember, you know, talking to a therapist about this, and she gave me like these grounding exercises.
Think about the last bad day that you had. Think about what was going through your mind during that entire day. And tell me if that's something that still affects you today.
And that showed me that like sometimes I just need to re-regulate. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes my system just goes out of whack, and I have to like bring myself to a point where I can connect with the system of being a human and kind of guide myself through that system in a way that is, you know, beneficial to my emotional well-being. And that also taught me to like connect with the fact that I'm a human. And like, it's not always going to be pretty being human, but as long as I give myself the space to connect with that humanity, some beautiful things could come about. I used to consider myself a person that values truth. Well, I still do, but like the way I was thinking about it was a little different than I think about it now. I was talking to my therapist about my value of truth, and I was explaining it to her, and she, you know, very politely said, "It sounds like you value logic more than truth." And I asked her to explain that to me. And basically what happens, like I'm a Gemini moon, and part of being a Gemini moon is that like I like to make logic of my feelings instead of just expressing the feeling and feeling the feeling. I try to like make sense of it. I try to make it like, I try to explain it with logical words before I even get a chance to feel. You know what I'm saying? And I used to get upset when people weren't logical about their emotions and would just like react to them. She helped me to understand that like if I really value truth, then that means I value logical truth and emotional truth. And that means that I also have to make space for emotional truth. And I have to realize that it is relative, which means if I'm talking to someone and they're feeling a feeling that's similar to a feeling I felt but for a different reason, I don't have to agree with them to understand where they're coming from. You know what I'm saying? That was really impactful.
That's like really, really dope. And I want to go back because you were talking about like being diagnosed and going through being 302. A lot of people hear that and that scares them, that whole process of either being taken away or living with a diagnosis. When that happened, like did that Was there like a light bulb in your head that like, oh, okay, this is what I have, and that's okay? Or was it something that you were like, oh my God, like, how am I going to navigate this?
It was definitely one of those, oh, I'm depressed. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, you know, if I'm being completely honest, I thought I was above depression for a long time. I used to think, like, I used to look at people with depression like, damn, that sucks. Couldn't be me, though. Until it was me, though, you know what I'm saying? And then, like, that's when I realized, shit, like, I really have to start taking better account of how I feel, processing it and letting it flow instead of holding on to it and bottling it up until it bursts. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like that's what contributed to my depression. That's when I realized how real depression was. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, it was an aha moment for me, but it also was an aha moment to help me to understand those people that I thought I was above before it happened to myself. I'm like, yo, it's just like COVID, bro. Anyone can get it. You know what I'm saying? And I really had to sit and face that reality and like, you know, be honest with myself about the fact that, like, I did play a role in the reality that I was seeing, you know what I'm saying? And that, like, I had to be a little bit more proactive if I wanted to be as above depression as I thought I was.
That makes a lot of sense. And now you're out here winning Emmys, you know, traveling, touring, teaching at universities across the country. But you're also very vulnerable about the fact that you went through this very traumatic experience. You have these diagnoses. How do people respond when you talk to them about that?
They be acting like I'm strong or something. You know what I'm saying? They be like, how are you here? How are you sitting in front of me right now? And it's like, I like to say, like, Goku from Dragon Ball Z had a huge impact on me as a person, because it's like, he wanted to be the strongest person in the room, but like, he really just wanted to push himself to new limits, you know what I'm saying, and to the next level. That's kind of like where NLS came from for me personally, is like constantly working towards improving myself. And some people, you know, when they hear the path that I'm on, they can't believe it. They're in disbelief, you know what I'm saying, because they're like, wow, like, they take into account how young I am. They take into account like how much I actually know about this stuff. And like, one thing I tell them is like, yo, you see strength, but honestly, like, I only know so much as a defense mechanism. You know what I'm saying? Because honestly, I'm afraid to be depressed again. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to go back to that, because like, that time period was like rough. And the things that I went through are like feelings I never want to feel again. You know what I'm saying? And like, another feeling that comes up is like pride. You know, like, people hear what I've been through and they're like proud of me, you know what I'm saying? Especially like people who seen me going through what I went through versus seeing me now. It's completely different people. It was really just me, like, not avoiding depression, but really facing my feelings and being like, listen, bro, we gotta work together, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not about to come in my house and bully me out of my happiness. You know what I'm saying? I really like had to go in and do some house cleaning, but like, yeah, it feels good to talk to people about it and kind of like let them in on what my journey was like, because like, I like to use myself as an example. It's like, if I can do it, anybody can do it. And it might happen at a different pace, but just know that it is possible. Because like, I was major depressive disorder. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not light, you feel me? So like, if I can make it through major depressive disorder, it's like, bro, just imagine what you can do, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, do you ever just like look at yourself in the mirror and just be like, wow, I made it. Like,
Yes.
I'm on the other side of like this thing that was supposed to end me.
Yes. I was homeless for the majority of 2018, but like, I was able to look at myself in the mirror and be like, bro, you're homeless, but are you sad though? No, we're actually thriving out here, you know what I'm saying? And like, thinking about that is so beautiful, you know, like, I still this is my Cancer side showing,
Yeah.
but I still have the voicemail in my phone of my best friend calling me the day that I attempted, and like it going to voicemail. I haven't listened to it in years, but like having it there kind of serves as a monument of like, bro, look how far we came. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're nowhere near the mindset that we used to be in, and it's just like, it feels so empowering. Cause now it's like I look at every day with the sense of like, bro, I beat depression. This day is not about to get the best of me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool because, like you said, you overcame all of this stuff. Major depressive disorder is a lot. Not having a place to sleep is a lot. And you're here. You're winning. Like I said, you're winning Emmys. You're teaching other people. What is one thing you want to leave people when it comes to knowing about mental health and just accepting the fact there may be something that you have to go through?
I want to leave people with knowing that we are human beings. And part of being human is knowing that you exist on, multiple planes at the same time. We're mental, emotional, physical, and energetic. And things that happen on one level affect them all. You know what I'm saying? So I would like to leave people with this sense of like, practice radical responsibility. Check in. Ask yourself, how am I doing? Really? You know what I'm saying? And like, really sit down and get in touch with that human side of yourself. Any feeling that you feel like you've been like pushing to the side or shunning, let that come out and give it the space to exist so that it now has the space to exit. You know what I'm saying? And I want people to kind of like, never lose sight. You see what I did there? Of the fact that you are an entire human being and you got this. You know what I'm saying? You got this. You can do this. You might have, you might feel like you can't, but every day when you wake up, you're presented with a completely new opportunity to choose differently. Your today doesn't have to look like yesterday. And your tomorrow doesn't have to look like a week from now. You know what I'm saying? With the choices that you make, you can create a completely different reality for yourself. But you have to make sure you're checking in, making space for your entire self, and letting those feelings flow so that they have a place to exist and also a place to exit.
Well, I can't think of a better way to wrap up. So, Treble NLS, thank you so much
Thank you.
for joining us for Brunch with a Black Man. That's it. It's a wrap.